So yeah, you have to be open to those challenges when you're in a different setting and a different cultural environment than what you grew up in. But that's always a good thing. And again, it only reaffirms why you need to be centered in your understanding of your own history as a Latino or Latina, whether you're from South Texas or wherever you may be, because you're going to enter environments where people will be radically different than you. They'll have radically different experiences than you do. And so being better situated and grounded in who you are will help you expand yourself and learn new and exciting things. I think especially in higher education, there's opportunities to take courses in Mexican American or Latino history. I think that's a very practical place to start. Joining student organizations that promote cultural values, being and getting to know people that affirm your history and your culture and so forth. I think those are all things that, especially on a campus that's predominantly white, that you'll have to, or I would strongly encourage looking for and searching out to be able to have that sustenance. Now, you don't ground yourself there only, right? You also have to be able to build in different experiences outside of that. But you've got to recreate home wherever you're at. I strongly believe that.
How do you do that?
Well, again, taking those courses, signing up and participating in student organizations that promote cultural values, that affirm, Latino heritage and Latino culture on campus is, I think, one of the most important ways to do it. I think sometimes students feel they have to isolate themselves or they have to separate themselves from people who are like them. But I tend to believe that, especially in an institution that is predominantly white, I think it's best to find those spaces where you can deliberate with other Latinos or Latinas or other students of color, for that matter, and you can recreate that piece of home.
Awesome.
I mean, I think without a doubt, we live in a very complicated society that still has a lot of those ideas, as antiquated as they might seem, that tend to view American identity or U.S. identity in very static and uniform ways, right? And I think Latinos bring in a diversity to that. And so when you're different, or when you have an accent, or when your last name is not the same as everybody else's, I think you're vulnerable to those kinds of attacks that students might have. But a lot of that is based on fear. You have to be ready for that, and you've got to certainly be willing to address it in ways that are healthy, as far as making sure you challenge people non-violently, of course, and begin to educate the student body on what Latino culture is and where you come from in your own story. And again, it goes back to making sure that you're grounded in who you are. That's a really important part of it.
Awesome.
So leaving family behind and how that impacts us is very important. I mean, I think for Latino students to leave far away from their communities and go to school and go to places that are different is always a very challenging thing. I would encourage parents just to trust the process, and I would encourage students to make sure you set your sights high. Make sure that you're aiming for the right school that's for you, and it might be 1,000 miles away. But you've got to make sure that you open yourself up to that possibility and to do that. But missing home, missing family, we're a very family-oriented culture, Latinos, and so you've got to be able to. Again, this sort of highlights why it's important to try and recreate home wherever you are in the university setting. Now, so talking about a student that comes and joins Hispanic organizations and doesn't open themselves up, without a doubt, you've got to be open. The whole university experience is about opening yourself up and experiencing new things. You shouldn't let culture limit you. You should affirm culture, practice it, recreate it as often as you can, but it shouldn't be limited, right? As people, culture is something that's always changing. We're always transforming it, recreating it, and I think the university experience allows for that sort of thing. So certainly you should try to blend and understand as many different perspectives as you can when you're at school. That's really why you're there. You want to try to learn as much as you can. These terms that you become either too Mexican or too Latino or whatever it is, You know, I don't know. I mean, you've got to be who you are, you know, and then you got to be comfortable in your own skin, and you've got to be able to trust that the education you're getting is going to help you develop that as a leader. I believe identity politics are very important. You might not believe that, but I mean, you are going to get, you know, criticism, maybe even from your own people, from your own family, or people from outside. Again, you know, grounding yourself in being secure and strong in who you are will help you advance and get to the things that you want to do. So, great. Thank you very much.